Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Last Word Sports. We got a nice vid for you guys today. Yours truly, Charlie Owens, Scott Gevurtz, Nick DeRay, and today we're going to be talking about the breaking news going on in the NBA, also known as the huge blockbuster trade that just occurred. James Harden to Brooklyn, Depot to the Rockets, lots of picks, lots of random players scattered everywhere. Nick, what you got for us?
Okay, so here's the full trade breakdown. So the Nets get James Harden, an MVP, three-time scoring champ, an assist champ. He's 31 years old, and he's got 2 years left on a $40 million contract with a third-year player option. They lose Jarrett Allen, Karis LeVert, Taurean Prince, 3 firsts, and
Prince too. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And 4 pick swaps.
Indy?
I think Cleveland.
The Pacers got.
I thought it was just Allen to Cleveland.
The Pacers get Karis, the second round pick. The Cavs get Jarrett Allen, Taurean Prince.
Okay.
And the Rockets get 4 picks,
Shout out
3 trade swaps.
I think you looked at our story one time on Instagram.
I think you did.
Shout out Taurean Prince.
Yeah. Rockets get 4 picks, 3 trade swaps, Oladipo, Exum, Rodion Krux, and they lose Harden.
Only Harden, though.
Only Harden.
Only guy they traded.
Wow.
This is probably about as much as you could get for him.
Yes. I think
Especially
for the first question that we got to
4-team deal.
The first question we got to address though is, can you make it work with Kyrie, Kevin Durant, and James Harden?
I just want to point this out real quick. I just think it's funny Kyrie's mad being a second option in Cleveland behind LeBron, and then goes through a number of teams just to end up in Brooklyn.
I honestly...
Where he's a third option.
But it's funny you bring that up because I don't think Kyrie signed off on this. I think that's what held up the trade so long is Kyrie, just like you said, he doesn't want to be the third option, and hell, he doesn't want to be the second option, even to a guy like KD.
Right. Do you think he's going to retire?
He said he didn't even trust LeBron.
Stephen A. Smith say that, dude?
I don't think he will.
Kyrie's
in a weird spot right
he's
now.
Such I think he just needs to take a break from basketball and just get his head
really
together.
Talented, but I hope
he needs to realize the earth is
he's
not
one of the most
flat.
He's one of the most talented point guards ever. His skill is insane.
No flaws in his offensive game.
No flaws in his offensive game. And, he's just ruining it all by being a toxic teammate, according to the news. But I feel like that's actually has some...
Yeah, I mean, to a degree, yes. I mean, on the other side, like, there aren't too many guys who say, like, oh, Kyrie's a bad teammate. He's just more of, like, distracting, if that makes sense to me, rather than, like, bullying guys in the locker room type of thing. But I think if you're Brooklyn and you have the chance to go out and get James Harden, you have to do it, right? This is just pairing these 3 players is something that we really... I don't think we've ever seen three guys like this before on the same team.
I mean, you have a top 15 player and two top 5
two
players.
Former MVPs.
And Kyrie Irving.
Right,
like that's incredible. Golden State was a super team. The Celtics had a super team. But this is, I think...
It's unprecedented.
In the modern NBA, right, when the best teams are the Lakers, who are great, but, LeBron's aging.
Dynamic.
After AD, they don't have a ton there, right? Like, the Bucks haven't proven anything. The Clippers haven't proven anything. I think you have to go for it and just take your chances, especially like you guys mentioned. We don't know what Kyrie's going to be at this point. We don't know where his head's at. So I think going out and getting another guy like Harden, who has good chemistry with Kevin Durant. The question is, how will he fit with Kyrie? But I think if you're the Nets, you have to take this gamble because there's just so much talent there.
I think the sad thing is for the Nets, is that they had so much young talent 2 years ago, and they just got rid of all of it for Kyrie, Kevin Durant, and James Harden. And if they don't win a championship, then they just completely screwed over.
To an extent, though, like that's what young talent's for. It's to go out and get you these types of guys.
But you
take a look at Boston, right? Danny Ainge is the prime example. There were so many opportunities. He could have traded for Harden. He could have traded for Anthony Davis, and he said, no, I'm sticking with Tatum. I'm sticking with Brown. I'm seeing the thing out. I'm letting them develop. He refused to give up young assets to go out and get guys.
They're the #1 team in the East right now.
They are, but they haven't won a championship
yet.
And
they
have
a very promising future.
They do.
They've also worked together for their entire career, so they have a lot of chemistry.
But there are a lot of people who argue, if you had traded Jaylen Brown and some picks for Anthony Davis, that the Celtics would have won a championship by now. So it's kind of hard to tell. With young pieces, there's something to be said about getting players who what you have in them. You're certain that they're MVP caliber guys.
Yeah, true. I'm sad because I used to like the Nets a lot with D'Angelo Russell, Karis LeVert.
They were an underdog team.
Jared Allen. They were such a fun team to watch in the playoffs, especially versus that Sixers series.
That one, yeah,
where Jared Dudley
and Ben Simmons.
The entire series. That was a really fun team, and I've missed that team a lot. And it's kind of sad that the only person left is Spencer Dinwiddie. But
was Joe Harris not on that team
either? Done with
I think Joe Harris.
I think Joe Harris.
There's a couple guys left.
Yeah, but Joe Harris started off with the Cavs, I think, early on in his career.
He did.
But yeah, it's gonna be very interesting seeing how the Nets can work all of these guys together. Obviously,
especially with a coach like Steve Nash, who's never coached before and is in his first year in the league.
They still have D'Antoni on the staff, though, don't they?
They do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You have three.
But that doesn't bode well for their defensive prowess.
You have three of the
if you
best.
score 160 points a game, who cares about defense, right?
You have three of the best ISO players in the entire league, and none of them really work that well off the ball.
Harden's not going to do anything.
Do I have to say this again? Like D'Antoni said in Game of Zones, twice the offense. half of the defense.
Skip calls him Mike Antony because there's no D.
That's pretty comedy. But I think we should move on from the Nets for now. I think the next thing we could go on to is the Pacers getting Karis LeVert and dropping Oladipo.
Okay, I just want to say this. I'm an Oladipo stan. If you've been watching the channel long enough, you know I'm an Oladipo stan.
And I also like Oladipo.
Love Oladipo. I'm really happy he's in Houston. I think he's going to make a great fit. But as for Indiana, I don't understand why they would think Karis LeVert is a better fit than Depot. It feels like they're making a move just to make a move.
I think here's the thing with that. I think Oladipo openly kind of stated that he didn't really want to come back next year, and he's on his contract.
That was actually propaganda. Depot later tweeted that was false.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is, though, the Pacers front office was looking at it kind of like Depot was great. He was super promising. He got hurt. He came back. We don't know if he's going to be the same player. And Doma has kind of emerged as a young star for this team.
As well.
Miles Turner,
Brogdon's been
They've got kind of a new young core. Depot's a little bit older on a contract year. Mm-hmm. And I think they're just thinking like, hey, let's just clean house. And Depot's good. He hasn't really meshed super well with their lineup of other guys.
He's been averaging over 20.
Yeah, he's been averaging 26 and 4 with 2 steals. And he's 28 years old in his contract year. But Karis LeVert, he's 26, and he could have like a most improved season if he gets to play as like a star on a team. And the thing is, he's also in his contract year. He's also on his contract year.
LeVert, I don't know how well he's going to fit with them too, because he's not a guy who you can put off the ball.
He's not really a guy who I see playing with John Wall efficiently.
With Brogdon, LeVert's on the Pacers now, but Brogdon.
Oh wait.
Yeah, LeVert's on the Pacers.
Brogdon is.
I meant Depot.
Yeah. Well, Depot was John Wall too.
I think it's going to be
that's
fun to watch.
That's kind of what I wanted to lead into. That's what I was thinking, but then I got
slashers,
confused with LeVert. Yeah. Both of them are slashers who go and attack guys at the rim. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it's going to be an interesting team with that Rockets, though. They could actually compete with the
John
West,
Wall, Victor Oladipo, and Christian Wood. They've got good players. It remains to be seen how they've got a ton of guys coming off injuries. When you look at Wall and Depot and
I think they have a bright future now that they got so many picks out of that trade. I think that was a big improvement. I think
what was it 3 guaranteed and 5 pick swaps?
It was 4 picks and
3 swaps. I think. But
it was 3 first and 4 pick swaps. But I think the question is with the Pacers, you got a great young guy. Can you re-sign him? He's on his contract year.
In LeVert.
And in LeVert, Karis LeVert's on his contract year. So I think it's going to be
Prince as well, huh?
Yeah.
Or Prince went to Cleveland.
Yeah, Prince went to Cleveland. But I think Karis LeVert is going to fit well with this Pacers team. I think he's an interesting player to kind of put into the mix. I think he's a great all-around player, and he's young, and he's entering his prime. It'll just be interesting to see how he works with Malcolm Brogdon, Demantis, Miles Turner.
He's a really good scorer, but I don't really see him fitting in.
He's a decent playmaker.
That system, just because LeVert came off the bench for the Nets for.
Well, whenever he's had a big enough role, he's done well.
Yeah.
But what LeVert does is kind of drive in and post up little guards in the lane.
Exactly, which works when he's playing as a 6-man role. But now he's going to be thrust into this position where you're our guaranteed number 1 third option on a team trying to go for a run in the East.
Mm-hmm. And another thing to consider is Brogdon's 28 too.
Yeah,
so.
he
came into the
he was rookie of the year, but he was a rookie of the year at
24.
23, 24.
Yeah, he was an older guy. But I think it's going to be an interesting situation there with the Pacers. I think if they make a decent spot in the Pacers in the
Playoffs.
East, they could probably re-sign.
I could still
LeVert.
see them as a 4 or 5 seed.
Yeah, I could definitely. I mean, at the beginning of the year, I thought they were going to miss the playoffs, and I'm going to openly say I was wrong on that one. They look like a really good team.
Chuck made a dumber decision when he put the Suns.
Dude, shut up!
That, bro.
Shut up! I didn't believe, and honestly, I still don't believe. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, but it's going to be interesting. The next one we got is the Cavs. They get Jarrett Allen, Taurean Prince. They lose Dante Exum and a first. I think the first thing I want to say is they also got a player that's on their contract year. Who are you going to re-sign, Jarrett Allen or Andre Drummond? I got Jarrett Allen, absolutely. Absolutely.
Drummond, yeah.
Drummond's
I think they'll
older.
try to
Jarrett's
trade Drummond
22.
if they can. But
Yeah.
I never understood why they traded for Drummond in the first place.
It didn't really make
It
sense.
was just it would seem like just a move just to make a move. You know, just
like
to bring
he's-
star power and like
He's an older guy
be mediocre.
who kind of rebounds well, but
He's
turns over the ball a lot.
Friggin' lost me in fantasy by
If you
one
saw
turnover.
the play he made against
One
Memphis,
turnover.
where he stood there for 10 seconds and then drove in and threw the ball up and smacked it with his other hand.
That's the
just
turnover I lost off of in fantasy. Thank you, Drummond, for that one. I am still devastated by that.
It's tough.
It is so tough. Jarrett Allen, though, has
Nick,
been
just so
killing
you
it.
guys know, Nick drafted Triple J's and Kemba, who are still out, as
And
well
then
as
Carl Anthony Towns, who got out in the
So,
first week.
His team is terrible right
which
now.
is just they're just
Team-
awful
he's
right now.
0-3.
You know, if they were healthy, they would be a very good
I have
team.
the best fantasy team here.
Nah.
Based off of record, Scott.
Based off
you're
of
1 and
record.
2. I'm
Yeah,
2
you
and
had
1.
Easier matchups.
Your fourth best
I played
player.
Corey.
You're fourth.
Dude, I outscored you and Corey in like every stat, and Dimitri just outscored me.
All right. Well,
It's,
I think
it's
Jarrett
debatable.
Allen's been killing it lately. I got to be honest.
Baby.
Jared Allen has been playing
It's
like
Drake.
Jared Allen's
Inside
been playing
joke,
like a
my
future
fault.
star. He's only 22
Jared Allen
years
looks
old.
like Drake.
The thing is, why would you go out and grab like another center? Like the thing for Cleveland is like I get it. Jarrett Allen's going to be a piece for the future, but like there's really
I mean, you only lost Dante Exum
If
in
they
a
end up
first-round
moving
pick.
off
Exactly.
Drummond, it makes sense with moving forward.
they have to be
Sexton,
moving off
Garland.
Drummond, but knowing their front office, they're not going to do that.
I think the front office is moving in the right direction now. They've got Sexton, Garland, Isaac Okoro, and Allen. They've got a nice young core of a mix of defense, slashing.
Kevin Porter
Free my
Jr. is
man
also
Kevin
good.
Love. Free
Kevin
my
Porter
man
Jr.
Kevin Love.
Yeah. They've got some guys.
I think they're
Kevin Love's
underrated.
probably got
They're an
it, too.
underrated team for the future. They've got quite a lot of
Yeah.
young talent, and I think
We
Jared
went
Allen
over
is
this
a better fit.
actually in the standings video.
Jared Allen, I think, is a much better fit than Drummond with that team if they can re-sign him.
I agree with
Yeah,
that. Actually,
I think it's a way better fit with them. Drummond kind of hogs onto the ball and just turns the ball over too much.
you're just salty.
Yeah, I'm very salty. Very, very salty about that one. The next one that we can go off to
Taurean
is the
Prince got the ball.
Rockets.
Okay, here we go. Depot.
Interesting one.
Depot.
All right, they got 4 picks, 3 trade swaps, Oladipo, Exum, Rodion Karooks, and they lost Harden. The first thing I want to start off with is, can they make it in the West as a playoff team?
I think they can make the playoffs, but they're in a weird spot because I feel like they need to move. If they want to commit to this rebuild, center around Christian Wood and all the draft picks, they need to move John Wall. And
Which is funny.
I don't know how
ones who
they're going
just
to do
traded
that.
for
And
him.
they just traded for him, right? But
Once again, you owe me my written apology on Christian Wood.
We're not writing.
Yep,
I'm not
He
writing
owes
an
me a written
apology.
apology.
I'm
2
not
years
writing an
ago, y'all
apology.
thought he was a nobody.
I didn't think he was a nobody.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you
No,
did.
I didn't.
You openly came at me on camera about the. I knew Christian Wood would be good. I'm hyped about Christian Wood. And then Fletcher stole him from me in fantasy.
he's killing it.
He's playing well.
Yeah, but Christian Wood's been killer. I really like this Rockets team. I think it's interesting because they've got a bunch of older players that could possibly have comeback seasons this year in
Boogie and John Wall.
Biggie and John Wall. Oladipo, too, because Oladipo's coming off an injury. And he's
Yeah,
starting
but
to
I mean,
come out.
he's in the middle of his comeback season. He's been playing really well.
And then, Eric Gordon without Harden is going to be kind of...
You got John Wall.
Yeah, without Harden.
It's gonna be
yeah.
fine.
It's going to be an
It's gonna be
interesting one.
fine. It's gonna be fine.
Yeah, they just have a weird mix where they've got some leftover pieces from the contending days,
Right.
but they also committed to Christian Wood and a bunch of draft picks.
Could you imagine if
they're
this
not
team
quite
was
good
5
enough
years ago? If this was not 5 years, more like 3 years ago when Oladipo was in his prime and
Wall was healthy.
John Wall was
2017
healthy.
or something.
And Boogie,
and
Boogie was like also
was
on
in
the
New
Pelicans.
Orleans. And
would have been nuts.
That team would have been
Achilles injury, and he was tearing it up.
That team would have won multiple championships if they could have stayed healthy.
It's a good team.
It's a good team.
Very good team.
My only thing is like
they would have had to play the Warriors.
Yeah, that's true.
True.
That is true.
My thing with this whole thing is kind of like what Scott was saying about they have like the leftover pieces still on the roster. It kind of is reminiscent to like what the Celtics did to the Nets.
Yeah.
And it feels kind of like the Nets are going to go through it again, unfortunately, if they aren't able to win this year or the next year.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
the Rockets just got a bunch of picks.
Yeah, and they got a ton
and like
of picks.
a decent player so they can like still contend,
In
but at the
fairness.
same time they might finesse the entire league.
Yeah.
There's a difference between getting a washed up Paul Pierce and KG and getting prime James Harden to pair with Kevin Durant.
Is he
and Kyrie
is he
Irving.
prime because he's looking like he's wants the prime rib
He's
instead.
looking
Scott.
like he
he's looking
doesn't
like
want
he
to be
wa-
in Houston.
He's
anymore.
looking like
Yeah.
he's looking like a chunky Rick
James
Ross.
Harden.
I think it's going to be different with the Nets, though. I think the Nets haven't been playing that well so far. I mean, weren't they
They've
like
been
5 and 6?
they've been underperforming.
They've been 5
But
and 6.
to be fair, their stars haven't always
they
played.
miss games.
Yeah. I mean, Kyrie in my other fantasy league has been out for me forever. So
Which, you know, it might be
be
beneficial for them having that huge star power because they can go to different guys on each given night. Let
Exactly.
Kyrie
Absolutely.
go through his
Like
demons.
right now, they just don't know.
You're gonna have
if
to-
Kyrie's going to be
it's-
there. So having Harden's nice.
A team defense alone is not going to be able to beat this kind of offense. You're going to have some really good defenders to be able to guard these guys.
That's why the Clippers are going to win the championship.
That's why
the Clippers would be a very nice matchup.
The Blazers have Robert Covington.
You got
You
Pat-
put
Blazers
Pat Bev on
Oh
Harden.
my
He's
gosh.
eliminated. You put Kawhi on KD, eliminated. And you put PG
On nobody.
on
PG
Kyrie,
scores
and
50
he's
a game.
eliminated.
PG scores 50
PG
a
doesn't
game.
need to play defense. Just ask
No.
Skip. He's the MVP.
Yeah. I just think this
I'm
trade,
serious.
the one word I have to, well, I mean, 2 words that I have to describe this entire trade
How about 4
is
words?
game-changing. I think it's just
Game-changing trade move.
Yes.
Facts, dude.
I just think this
Agreed.
entire... I just think it's going to the really interesting to see how all this plays out with all these guys going to different teams.
It's going to shake some things up.
It's going to shake some things up. The right now standings in the East and West will not stand. It's going to switch up a little bit. I'm just excited
I
to see
honestly
how it
think
will.
Houston's going to be better in the short term. I can't speak for the long term because I don't know how well their skills are going to match.
Draft picks in the NBA, you just don't know how.
You don't know how they're going to work, but in the short term, man, I think John Wall is going to play harder now that he has someone who actually wants to commit.
Yeah, I mean, he wants to be in
Because
Houston.
he wants,
it seems
yeah,
like.
it seems
he's happy.
It's especially
competing.
like the interviews last night and everything. He was talking about like, you know, I don't want to play with someone who's ready to give up on the squad after 9 games.
Exactly.
And Depot's he was hungry in Indiana. Like 90% sure he's going to readjust and come hungry to Houston. And I think those guys are going to go out and dominate, especially because you got a young guy like Christian Wood who has been tearing it up and has got all the skills, man.
For sure.
So, I mean, I'm optimistic about Houston.
Yeah. Christian Wood's been very good this year.
Okay, so we covered the Nets, the Cavs, the Rockets, and the Pacers.
Get one
so-
prediction right, man. He gets one prediction right.
Hey, I called out multiple players other than that.
Like who?
Rashawn Holmes, Gary Trent.
Rashawn, oh my
He's been killing
God.
it. He's been the
Oh
starting center for the
my
Kings.
God.
He's been the starting center for the Kings.
Wow,
He's
wow.
been averaging 11 and 10 with a block and a
Oh,
steal.
I'm
11 and
so
10.
sorry.
He was a nobody 2 years ago, too.
You
And
were
I
right.
called him
He
out.
was the backup center on the Sixers.
play that
Nick,
all.
you were right about Christian Wood.
I was very
Rashawn
right.
Holmes
Rashawn.
has been nice, but 11 and 10 isn't game changing.
Hey, I said he would break out, and he has broken out. He has been breaking out. He's actually been a big part of this Kings
He's
team.
been
He's
okay.
been a big part of this Kings
What is
team.
the Kings'
Man.
record? Like 3-9.
Well, I mean,
They've hardly
They beat the Nuggets like twice. So, I mean, that's what... Well, the Nuggets have been pretty
The
trash.
Knicks- my Knicks-
And Jeremy Grant. Jeremy Grant. That was the other guy. I did say Jeremy Grant would break out, and Jeremy Grant's been averaging 25.
Dude,
Yeah.
the Pistons are like 2-7.
So Jeremy
Grant
Grant is
has
also
been-
25
he has been killing
points
it.
per game. I don't want to hear it.
I will
Chuck.
give you credit.
I
for that
wanna
one,
hear
Nick.
it, Chuck.
Yeah, Jeremy Grant's been killing it. Yeah,
I don't want to hear
I
it.
think you're right.
Well,
All right, y'all. Thank you for watching this episode of The Last Word Sports. If you liked it, please leave a like down below. Let us know, who do you guys think won the trade? Houston definitely won the trade, in my opinion. These guys are both stupid.
Brooklyn.
These guys are both
It's
stupid.
Brooklyn in the short term if they can figure it out.
These guys are both stupid, man. All right. Thank y'all for watching. This has been The Last Word Sports.
Thank you.